Live right now to Toronto Police Headquarters, where results of Project Poacher are being released. Let's listen in.
I want to thank him and the 53 Division Major Crime Unit for their relentless work in dismantling this organization, which was contributing to the ongoing auto theft issue in our city and ultimately putting our communities at risk. Detective Craling.
Thank you, Inspector Nichols. So the purpose of Project Poacher was to identify and arrest members of a suspected auto theft group responsible for reventing stolen motor vehicles within the City of Toronto. As the project progressed, we learned that the suspects were conspiring with a former Service Ontario member. This former employee was allegedly being paid by members of this group to provide clean vehicle documents and plates in order to disguise stolen motor vehicles, making them appear legitimate to unsuspecting buyers. It's alleged that the suspects would provide the former employee with vehicle identification numbers from vehicles that had previously been sold or exported out of the country. In exchange for money, the former employee would then create new, legitimate-looking vehicle registrations and license plate for these clean VINs. These falsified documents were then used to re-VIN the stolen vehicles, effectively disguising them and making them appear legitimate. The stolen vehicles, now with new identities, were sold to unsuspecting buyers or used in other criminal activities throughout the city. Some vehicles were even registered to non-existent or deceased individuals in an effort to confuse their detection by law enforcement. In May of this year, we executed 7 criminal code search warrants throughout the City of Toronto and the GTA on residences, commercial garages, and vehicles. In total, members of this group are responsible for revinning over 100 stolen vehicles to date, worth approximately $9.5 million. Throughout the investigation, from that 100, we have recovered so far 21 stolen revinned luxury vehicles, valued between $1.5 and $1.8 million. I also want to thank the members at 53 Division Major Crime Unit for their dedication and this hard work in this complex investigation. Their commitment has been crucial in addressing these crimes, and because of their efforts, we continue to work to enhance the safety of our communities. Thank you. I'll now take any questions.
Who flagged this? Was it Service Ontario?
So this investigation came to light during a previous investigation where a search warrant was executed at Service Ontario from Project Safari. When reviewing documents seized from Service Ontario, we came across certain patterns and names that led us towards this group of individuals. In this investigation, no, we do not believe there's any outstanding suspects.
And once the vehicles were revinned, where were they destined? Are we talking overseas?
No, so the purpose of revinning is essentially to create a domestic market for stolen vehicles. So rather than exporting them out internationally, now these vehicles can be sold for value within the province or country.
Were they being sold privately, used car lots? How was that working?
A variety of methods, mostly online. So through various online marketplaces, they'd be sold to unsuspecting buyers.
And were all the vehicles located that you have recovered thus far, were they located in the Toronto area? Or?
Yes, so the ones that we've located so far have all been within the GTA, so about within an hour drive of city center. So.
I'm not sure if you can comment on what we've seen this year in terms of auto thefts in the city. Do we have any updated statistics on that, where that's going?
I don't have any with me, unfortunately, yeah.
Any questions? A few more questions. Just give me a second. Is there just the one Service Ontario employee who was a part of this ring, or do we suspect maybe others are? Because this sounds pretty sophisticated.
The actions during this investigation was just this one former employee, yes.
Are there things that consumers can look out for in sort of rebidding?
Absolutely. So we recommend that anyone purchasing a used vehicle obtain a comprehensive vehicle history report through Carfax or some other reputable company. In looking at these, inconsistencies will appear that are registered that aren't always made aware to buyers if they haven't gone through this effort. Things to look out for would be sudden color changes of a new vehicle. Those are just things that wouldn't normally occur. If the vehicle has indication that it was previously exported but is now for sale within Canada as well, that's very uncommon. So by getting the comprehensive history of a used vehicle, you can make informed choices to mitigate the risk of buying one of these re-VIN vehicles.
After the vehicle was re-VIN and then sold, can you talk about what kind of helped with the success of tracking down these vehicles?
Sorry,
Once the process was done by the alleged criminals and they were able to re-VIN the vehicles, when you talk from the policing perspective, what led to the success in identifying and locating some of these vehicles?
so bearing in mind that this is still before the courts, but essentially the process would be, we would utilize many of the same tools that are available to the public to detect these vehicles. So from the documents seized, we're able to expand our knowledge of the sort of scope of their operation, and from there we're able to start picking off these vehicles as where they were.
Does this speak to any sort of failure or vulnerability in Service Ontario's internal system?
I don't think we can really draw that conclusion from this investigation. The actions of this former employee were very much his own. After his arrest during Project Safari, we did notice a trend with this crew that their operations did get harder, and that was because there were other Service Ontario employees, when they detected the fraud, flagging the fraud. So,
I don't know if you can speak to maybe the customer who bought the unknown stolen vehicle or whatever. What happens to them if he's
unfortunately, there's little recourse for them. Like, they can pursue civil matters down the road against, the accused if that's their course of action. However, I'll speak about the risks for them being in possession of one of these vehicles. Essentially, you can't insure a stolen vehicle. So by having possession of a re-VIN stolen vehicle, were someone to get into a collision or be pulled over by the police, like, they're liable for whatever activities done with that vehicle. So a major collision, they're going to be holding that, unfortunately, as a result of having a stolen vehicle in their possession. So. Exactly.
Okay, one more question. Where would they get the VIN numbers from, and how can people protect their VIN numbers on their cars?
So parts of that are ongoing, but from what we've gleaned throughout this investigation is these were taken from vehicles that had been legitimately exported out of Canada. So we're no longer within the Canadian market.
We've been listening to Toronto Police Update the media and the results of Project Poacher. This was a major auto theft investigation, and it involved the investigation of a Service Ontario employee who was essentially providing clean vehicle documents and plates to individuals who essentially would have these stolen vehicles that were able to be created and sold in the domestic market rather than shipping them off into the containers, which is what we've been seeing for several months. But essentially, this individual was providing clean VIN numbers and disguising these vehicles to look legitimate. So we're going to have a lot more on the results of Project Poacher throughout the morning and afternoon.